Hi friends, welcome back, or if you're new here, my name's Destiny, and today I want to talk about my spring TBR. I've been doing this thing on my blog for a couple of years now, where every season I pick 10 books that I want to try to read that season, and this is totally separate from a monthly TBR. These are usually more like fitting whatever theme I want to pick for that season. So like for spring, I'll usually go with like a lot of quick reads and stuff like that, and like romance and fun reads, whereas, you know, for autumn I might go with like more horror. So you kind of get the gist. Anyways, I have so much fun doing these that I wanted to carry it over onto my channel. So today I'm going to talk about the 10 books that I've picked for the spring, plus a quick update on my winter TBR, which you can find on my blog, but I'll just go through all those really quickly. This is the most successful seasonal TBR I've had in a long time. I'm filming this video about 2 weeks in advance, but as of right now, I've completed 8 of the books out of the 10, and I'm currently reading the other 2. So I'm hoping that by the time this goes live, I will have actually completed all 10 books on this winter TBR. And I'm not sure if I've ever completed the entire seasonal TBR. If I have, it's been a while. So I'm really proud of that. But without further ado, the first book that I picked for my winter TBR was Come Tumbling Down by Shauna McGuire. I've talked about that enough on this channel. I'm not going to keep going on about it, but it is one of the best books that I've read so far this year and a new all-time favorite. The second book on my winter TBR was Bad for the Boss by Talia Hibbert. This is the first book in the Just for Him series, which is her, I think it's her oldest series. It's an office romance between a woman and her boss. The heroine is Black and plus size, and the hero is Asian. The Black rep is Own Voices, and if you're not familiar with Talia's books, they're all adult romances with a lot of diversity and a lot of Own Voices rep. And whether it's Own Voices or not, the representation is always done so thoughtfully and so well, and I really enjoyed this. She excels at writing the most lovable characters, and this was no exception. And what surprised me in Bad for the Boss is that there is this underlying theme of suspense. I'm not used to Talia's books having like a suspenseful element, so that was kind of surprising, and I was amazed at how well done it was. The third book of my winter TBR was My Fake Rake by Eva Lee, and this is a book about a woman who enlists the help of her best friend to have him pretend to be a rake so that she can use him to make this other guy jealous who she's had a thing for a long time. So it is a historical romance, super feminist, and a lot of really great social commentary. Like, the hero constantly brings up like cultural appropriation. It's something he feels very passionately about, and he rants about it a lot, and he makes so many good points, and I really enjoyed his character tremendously. Sebastian is easily the light of the book for me. Unfortunately, I didn't love the romance. I didn't actually feel that much chemistry between the characters, and my biggest problem was the heroine. She was just really wishy-washy on her feelings about him. Like, she was just constantly going back and forth on it, and I don't know, like, it's really hard for me to get into a romance when one person is so much more invested than the other one. But anyways, it was still fun. I did end up giving it 3 stars. I would definitely read more from this author in the future, just probably not with this trope. The fourth book on my winter TBR was Better Watch Out by Willow Rose. This was a Christmas horror about a woman who is telling somebody stories about how when she was a child, Santa came and like murdered her family. I gave it like 2.5 to 3 stars, and that was honestly being kind of generous. I was kind of hoping it was going to be kind of campy and like a B horror movie, you know, kind of feeling, but instead it was just a little bit too over the top. The next book on my winter TBR was The God Game by Danny Toby. I gave it 1 star. It's about these teenagers who get sucked into this evil AI's game, and it makes them like do terrible crimes and stuff. And it just, I really hated it. Like, it's really rare that I give a book 1 star, but I just did not enjoy it at all. The next book on my winter TBR was Behind You by Brian Koldrick, and this is a comic collection of one-shot horror stories. Each page has like a 1 or 2 sentence horror story on one side, and the other side is an illustration that he's drawn, and it was super creepy and fun. I gave it an easy 5 stars, and it made me really want more, which I think that the author has said that he's already working on another collection. So I'm definitely keeping an eye out for that, because I will want to pre-order that as soon as it goes up. Next was Ghostland by Duncan Ralston. This is the only book on this that I actually DNF'd, and I'm really sad to say that because the author is so kind, and I was really excited to get a copy of this from him. Unfortunately, it just didn't really work for me. I loved the premise. It's about these teenagers who go to Ghostland, which is a new theme park that has opened up in their town, where this scientist has found a way to harness human souls of the dead and actually make them like reenact things in the park. But things go kind of haywire, and like she kind of loses control of the ghosts. I love haunted amusement parks. That is just one of those oddly specific tropes that I enjoy so much. I might give it another try sometime because I do think that the author is a great writer. In the author's defense, I was also in a little bit of a reading slump while I was trying to read it, and you know, that obviously always makes it harder to enjoy a book that you're currently reading. So yeah, I may give it another try. And then the last book on my winter TBR that I've completed was 10 Blind Dates by Ashley Elston. And I loved this so much. And I've seen it getting some mixed reviews of people saying that it was like too predictable or that it was too cheesy. And look, I mean, I totally respect everyone's opinion. Like, you are completely entitled to your review and your opinion. And if you didn't like it, then I'm sorry that you didn't enjoy it, you know. But I feel like it was intended to be cheesy and predictable and kind of over the top. It's a rom-com about a girl whose boyfriend breaks up with her. She goes to spend Christmas break with her family that she's kind of estranged from. Like, she moved a little bit away from them, and so she doesn't have like bad blood with them or anything. She just doesn't see them much anymore. They decide that they're all going to set her up on 10 blind dates over the course of this like holiday vacation. And it's got so many great like classic rom-com tropes. You know who the final love interest is gonna be, like you see him from a mile away, you know, but you're meant to. Like, it plays out very much like a rom-com movie. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. I had a ton of fun with it. I thought it was super cute. Straight up, if Netflix ever by some stroke of magic came to me and asked me to make them a list of books that should be adapted into movies, that would be so high on the list because I think it would make the cutest freaking YA rom-com Christmas movie ever. Okay, and then the 2 books that I'm currently reading from that TBR are Corpse Cold by John Burrell and Joseph Sullivan. It is an anthology of horror stories they're all retellings of creepypasta and urban legends and stuff, and it's been really enjoyable so far. And then the other one that I just started is Sick Kids in Love by Hannah Moskowitz, which is a YA romance between 2 kids who are chronically ill. One of them has rheumatoid arthritis and the other one has Gaucher's disease. They are both Jewish, I believe, which is Own Voices rep. The tagline for the book is like, they don't die in this one or something. So you know right off the bat that it's gonna just totally like take all of the tropes from Sick Kid Lit and just kind of like dump those out the window. But like I said, it has been good so far. I literally just started it, so hopefully I will have finished both of those by the time I actually start my spring TBR. Okay, and then for my spring TBR, the first book on it is Children of the Dark by Jonathan Janz. This is one that I've been meaning to get to forever. Jonathan is one of my favorite horror authors of all time. This is about this guy named Will. This notorious serial killer has just escaped prison and has shown up in his town. So there's that, but then also he discovers that there's some ancient evil lurking in the woods outside his house. I don't really know more than that about, but if I know his writing, this is gonna be like super gruesome, super bloody. But this is one that didn't really fit a specific theme so much as just that it's one that I've been meaning to read forever. And then the next book on my spring TBR is The Switch House by Tim Meyer, which is another one that should be a quick read. It's less than 200 pages. But it's about this couple who has just gotten back from going on a reality show where they switched houses with another couple. But when they get back, they find out that the other couple has done something to their house, and they start having like terrifying visions and things are just really wrong in their house. So they have to try to figure out if they can reverse it or, you know, like what's happened. I've read 2 other books by Tim Meyer and I gave them both 5 stars, like hands down. So I'm sure that I'm really going to enjoy this one too. And then the next one is another horror pick, and it's The Whites of Their Eyes by Zen Sanders, which is a pseudonym for Cole McCade, who is one of my favorite romance authors. This is a short story collection of 4 horror short stories that all feature queer casts, and all of his stories are always full of so much good diverse rep. And I feel like I don't get to read a ton of really diverse horror. So when I realized that I was missing out on a whole pen name of his that had horror stories, I kind of freaked out and immediately put this at the very top of my TBR. Next, I picked a few paranormal fantasy reads because those are just always really quick, like engaging reads for me. And I've been in such a paranormal fantasy mood lately. It's like all I want to read. So I picked Dead as a Doornail by Charlaine Harris. It's the 5th book in the Sookie Stackhouse series. I started to binge read the series last year. I was reading 1 book every couple of weeks and I was really loving the series like so much. You know, of course it's not without flaws, but it's been so much fun and I love the characters so much. But I hit the 4th one and I finished it and I kind of like hit a wall. And decided to put the series down for a little bit. So I'm very excited to pick up the 5th one and restart it. And I'm kind of hoping maybe I can get back into that momentum and binge the rest of the series because they are such fast reads. And in a similar vein, I picked Hunting Ground by Patricia Briggs. This is the second book in the Alpha and Omega series, which is the parallel series to the Mercy Thompson series that she's a little bit more well known for. The two series actually intertwine a lot, so I'm reading them in the order that she has listed on her website. The Alpha and Omega series follows Anna, who is a young woman who's just had a really hard life, and like she's just trying to kind of survive. And then she meets Charles, who is the son of the leader of the entire like North American werewolf pack basically, and it turns out that he's her mate. So that's what you get in the beginning of the Alpha and Omega series. And then next I have one more paranormal fantasy book, and that's Shiver by Maggie Stiefvater. I cannot believe I have never read the Wolves of Mercy Fall series. I have been meaning to read this book for literally a decade now. Finally planning on doing it, and I'm really excited about it. Okay, and then for the rest of my spring TBR, I picked a few romances that I've been meaning to get to. The first one I picked is Always Never Yours by Emily Wibberley and Austin Siegman Broca. This is a Romeo and Juliet retelling about a girl who works behind the scenes doing plays at her school. The play director wants her to play Juliet in the upcoming Romeo and Juliet production, but she doesn't like to be on stage. But I guess they come to a deal that he will help her get with one of the stagehands if she'll play the role. But then of course, you know, she ends up falling in love with him instead. The one thing that I do keep hearing about this is that it's really sex positive, and that's something that I personally feel very passionately about, is that we need more YA books that are sex positive. So that alone put this on my radar. Okay, next I have Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan. This is an adult basketball romance. It features some themes of like domestic abuse that I've heard are pretty heavy, but is about this woman who is dating a basketball player. He is abusive of her, so she's trying to get out of that relationship, and at the same time she's kind of falling into a second chance romance with his nemesis. I have heard nothing but rave reviews about Kennedy Ryan's writing. I know she's got some other books that are also super popular, but I wanted to start with this series. And then next is Beyond Shame by Kit Roca. It's a writing duo, and one of the authors on Twitter, I was talking to her about this series recently, and she was saying that like, oh, it features like a bisexual army and stuff. I'm not really sure what that meant, but I was immediately intrigued. Anyways, it's a dystopian romance about this woman who lives in kind of like this inner city, and she wants to get out and like go live outside of the city's walls. But outside of the city is where this kind of broken down remnants of a former society are. And so she goes out there and she ends up in the hands of a gang, and the boss of the gang and her, I guess, kind of like end up falling in love. And finally, the last book on my spring TBR is This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Mohtar and Max Gladstone. I think everybody's talking about this right now, and it's just got me so hyped for it. And it is short, so it's going to be a quick read too. But it is a sci-fi romance where these two women who are agents for opposite sides of a war start writing letters to each other, and I guess they kind of like are picking at each other at first, but then gradually over time they become friends, and then more. And I have just heard so many rave reviews for this book. Okay, and that's it. That is my spring TBR. So I'll come back at the beginning of summer with an update on this TBR and how it went. But yeah, so come talk to me in the comments. Let me know what for my spring TBR do you think I should read first. If you like this video, please click like and subscribe. It means so much to me every time. It truly means the world to me. And I hope to see you in another video again soon. Bye!